incredible. The state treasurer's office is out of compliance now. Holy moly.
You're really informed, so I know you know that rulemaking is very time consuming.
It is, yeah.
Right? So as it stands right now, we're working on it.
Somebody told you I might be coming in to inspect the index. Now that Rue-knowing smile is leading me to believe the latter.
Yeah, I think maybe she misspoke or she didn't understand.
To the pro.
To who?
The pro.
Who's the pro?
The public records officer.
Oh.
It seems the treasurer just hasn't been in compliance for 50 years.
When you say it that way.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Not too shabby. I am here to inspect the public records index for the state treasurer.
The Public Records Index?
Correct.
Will you hold on one moment? I'm not familiar with that term.
Sure, you bet.
Thanks for your patience. I'm sorry to keep you waiting.
Sure.
My supervisor's going to be out in just a minute with the information that you need. Or information about what you need.
Okay.
And so if you'd like to have a seat.
Sure.
please do.
Thanks. Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Good.
Danny Colo.
Steve.
Very nice to meet you.
Likewise.
So as far as a records index, because we're not a local government, we're not required to have a records index.
I want to explain how not only the Washington State Treasurer is out of compliance with the Washington State Public Records Act in a significant way, but how a significant cross-section of the Washington State Executive Branch is as well, going as high as the governor's office itself. That will be in another story released soon. Back in 1973, then Governor Evans signed into law the Public Records Act as found in RCW Title 42, Chapter 17. The Records Act back then had Section 260 as the Records Index section. However, all agencies were allowed to exempt themselves back then, to include state agencies. Importantly, this changed, as you can see, in the session laws of 1989. This change delineated between local and state agencies, providing a local agency the ability to exempt, but not a state agency. In 2005, the law was recodified from RCW 4217 to RCW 4256, but maintained the state agency requirement of creating and maintaining an index. As you look at the Washington Administrative Code for the Washington State Treasurer's Office here, they have not, by rule, established and implemented a system of indexing for the identification and location of the required records. That title is Title 470, Chapter 1, Section 80. But what does this all mean? Why is this rather boring-sounding index so dang important, such that I've highlighted it almost exclusively on my channel and in stories over the last several months? The answer is, it's about transparency. I was able to go to the Washington State Healthcare Authority and retrieve the teleworking policy in about 10 minutes and did not have to submit a public records to do so. It was just simply available as required by statute.
I'm here to inspect the public records index.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
And I was wondering if I could speak to...
Wow. Open government mode activate. Form of openly transparent government agency. Go. As much as I like to give a fun nod to the Wonder Twins here from my childhood, I have to say, wow again. Look at this. Justin from the Healthcare Authority is coming out with the most robust, transparent form of an index you've ever seen from any agency in the state of Washington. I'll be giving a complete follow-up on this particular story soon. But for now, look at what government transparency journalism can achieve, everyone. It is because of you all keeping my feet on the street so that I can report on these stories that this kind of change in government can happen. You're also going to see quickly how this records index, now that one is properly put together, can actually serve the public, and very well indeed. Remember this index here, everyone, and in a few, how badly the Washington State Treasurer and most of the rest of the executive branch is failing epically the citizens they're supposed to serve.
To the pro.
To who?
The pro.
Who's the pro?
The public records officer.
Oh,
Now that's what I'm talking about. Look at you guys.
yeah.
Either you're one of the oracles at Delphi, and you're a very old person, having come from ancient Greek times and are a diviner,
Okay.
or somebody told you, I might be coming in to inspect the index. Now that Rue-knowing smile is leading me to believe the latter. Seriously, I don't want this to sound sarcastic, because I know I've had some freedom disputes with you guys in the past, but I'm proud of you guys for getting this squared away. Seriously, this is what I expect from my public employees. This is fantastic. There it is.
Oh, we found it.
Is there any way, I don't know if they're allowing you guys to do this, but can I just get a copy machine copy of
Yeah, I think I can do it. I don't see there's a reason.
that?
to
That's
do
it right there. All right, guys, so as you guys saw from my previous stories, there were some, disagreements with how freedom worked here at the HCA. However, they have done a great job. I really just want to beat a dead horse here. Look at that. This whole thing right here just stopped a Public Records Act from occurring, a request, because I can come in, get this real quick, it's available. This is exactly what Washington State is supposed to have.
Great job, Washington State Healthcare Authority. But why is this valuable? Well, first, the public records officer doesn't have to process a records request, which eases the workload and hastens other records requests. Second, it generates greater transparency. The documents indexed are high-value documents that allow for significant understanding of government's operations. Third, it ensures that the most high-value documents to understanding the government, according to the legislature, are the most swiftly available to the people. What this means: as you saw a moment ago, the legislature provided for greater transparency by indicating high-priority documents to be made quickly and readily available. The most powerful executives of the Washington State Executive Branch, the governor, lieutenant governor, treasurer, and possibly the Secretary of State, are out of compliance. They have been out of compliance since July 1st, 1990, a total of 34 years. They have no excuses, and in some cases, as with the Office of the Governor, the Washington State Department of Transportation, and the Employment Security Department, they have flagrantly and illegally exempted themselves in direct contradiction of the Washington State Public Records Act by not being in compliance with it and intentionally maintaining unlawful exemptions from 1973, which were required to be reversed by July 1st, 1990. What does this mean in those most egregious cases, though, is that there is a possibility that those offices and officers may be committing felony records concealment by not having created and maintained for publicly ready inspection the records index. That can be found in RCW Title 40, Chapter 16, Section 10.
We do have on our website a page where you can go and make any public record requests that you would like for records that the state treasurer's office has. You would want to make sure that you're specific on the record. There's a lot of records already available to you to review on our website. But if you would like to make a specific records request from our office, we are happy to comply with that. There's an online form that you can fill out. I can also give your contact information if you would like to our records officer. That would be our Director of Legal Affairs, Devin Phelps, and she would be happy to work with you on a specific record request that you would like to submit to our office.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of a possible misunderstanding here. I am familiar with subsection 4 of section 70. That allows local agencies to exempt themselves if certain criteria is met. Under no circumstances are state agencies allowed to exempt themselves. Subsection 5 makes it really clear. It says you have to provide that. So are you saying the auditor doesn't have that?
And so we're the treasurer's office.
Oh, I'm sorry, I meant treasurer.
Nope, that's fine. And we absolutely comply with public records requests. When you make that record request, you can make it in writing, on phone call, by email. So if you know what record you're searching for, we would be able to provide that information or response to you.
Yeah, I'm not looking to request records. I'm looking to inspect the index,
Okay,
which is required by subsection 5.
okay.
So does the treasurer not have that?
I'm going to confer with our legal counsel.
Sure.
And make sure that we are providing you the information that you're looking for. So if you don't mind, I'm going to call our legal counsel and come back with a response. Thank you for your patience.
Sure.
So I spoke with our Director of Legal Affairs, Devin Phelps, and she started going through all the subsections A, B, C with me over my head, right? I am not a legal person that has all of the knowledge of all the rules and requirements for the state agency. So I wrote down all of her contact information for you, and she is available to meet with you if you'd like tomorrow afternoon, if you would like to discuss. I also wrote down her phone number so that she can explain to you the sections and where that applies and doesn't apply to our office. Is that acceptable?
I mean, I don't mind the contact info. Like I said, I'm just here to inspect the index. Is it available?
I don't have that information for you right now. I've given you contact information for our office that would be able to address that request for you.
Okay. Yeah, I guess to speak. So it's not inspectable now, though. That the records index isn't available for me to inspect at this moment.
I don't have that records index information for you.
Okay. Yeah, actually, I mean, probably just email her out of curiosity. But I mean, yeah, it's just supposed to be something that's available. So, all right. Thanks.
All right.
Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye.
Wow, that is incredible. The state treasurer's office is out of compliance now. Holy moly. I mean, these are the biggest executive offices in the state right here that are completely out of compliance with this. I mean, it's, wow. It is really
I
surprising.
corresponded with Devin Phelps, Director of Legal Affairs for the Washington State Treasurer Mike Pelliciotti, subsequent to my visit to the Treasurer's office on November 20th, and scheduled an interview with her on December 4th, 2024, at the Treasurer's office. The following is that interview.
Hello.
Hello.
Come on in. She's gonna unlock it, but you can come on in.
Oh, appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
I've got a 10 o'clock with Devin Phelps.
That's me.
Oh,
hello.
Hello. Nice
Hello.
to meet you.
Nice to meet
Steve.
you. Steve?
Yeah.
Okay, Devin. Come on in.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
What I'm looking to talk about today is the Public Records Index for
Okay.
the state treasurer. I just got some notes here for
Sure.
you and some questions.
Sure.
So I don't know if you wanted to start with maybe something where you wanted to talk about the state treasurer's office's position on the records index or anything like that? Or?
I mean, like, I don't think I necessarily have like a here's our position statement or anything. What I can say is we do have a records index.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, would you like me to show it to you? I
Yeah,
I can,
absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I can pull it up. Here it is. So I'll show you where you can access it first, because this is the actual page. So when you go to our homepage, if you scroll to the bottom to get to public records,
Okay.
and you click on public records, and then this is where, you know, you've probably seen this portal, everything.
Yep.
You scroll to the bottom, and here's some information on the index
I want to
itself.
point out that what you are seeing Devin Phelps display did not exist on November 20th, 2024 when I searched the Washington State Treasurer's website. As you can see here from the Wayback Machine, the Internet Archives, on June 23rd, the Treasurer's website did not possess this. You can also see here that the Internet Archives had a litany of server errors for later preserved snapshots of the site in the August timeframe. No snapshots were taken after that. This snapshot, taken on December 12th, does show the public records index on the site. Sometime between November 20th, 2024, when I went into the office of the Treasurer to inspect the records index, and December 4th, 2024, the index was added to the website. This was done seemingly to attempt to come into compliance with the Washington State statute regarding the index.
We don't have anything that we consider to meet the definition of final order, declaratory order, or interpretive statement. So we don't have any of those, but in terms of policy statements, for policy statements that meet the definition under the APA, the citation that's in the Public Records Act to go look at, we believe that we have the following policy statements, and anyone who would like to see them can do a public records request.
Where would I find a teleworking policy for the Treasurer here?
So we do not think that the teleworking policy that we have meets the definition of policy statement, and so it's not included specifically in this list.
And in light of Title 34 for the APA, Administrative Procedures Act, why is it that the Treasurer believes, vis-a-vis you, I'm assuming, that the teleworking policy doesn't fall within the policy statement rubric?
Sure. Let me open up the definitions that we look at. I am going to go to public records first, and then I'll get the link because I think I actually have the APA up. Let's go to the definitions section. And here is the definition of policy statement. Written description of the current approach of an agency entitled a policy statement by the agency head or its designee to implementation of a statute or other provision of law, of a court decision, or of an agency order, including where appropriate the agency's current practice, procedure, or method of action based upon that approach. So we're currently seeking guidance from our legal staff, so the Attorney General's office, but
Who's your assigned Attorney General?
so he's new. His name is
Morgan
no. His name is Mark Rachel, yes. So he's new. So we are currently, having conversations with him and seeking legal guidance, and depending on what we hear from him, we may, end up updating our index if that's what he thinks is legally required. But as it stands right now, we have other, what I would say would be, informal type policies like the teleworking
Chime in the
policy.
comments below, everyone. What do you think about Devin's analysis there? Here's my thoughts on it. As defined in the Administrative Procedures Act, a policy statement is a written description of the current approach of an agency entitled a policy statement by the agency head or its designee to implementation of a statute or other provision of law, of a court decision, or of an agency order, including where appropriate the agency's current practice, procedure. The governor ordered on March 3rd, 2014 and June 3rd, 2016, two executive orders, 14-02 and 16-07, respectively, regarding teleworking. It gave the state agencies the ability to implement teleworking, but left the implementation of that largely up to the agencies. How is it that when the governor issues such a set of orders and an agency, the Washington State Treasurer's Office, responds by drafting policy on how it will implement that order, that isn't a policy statement? The easy answer is, that's because it is a policy statement. We know this because when it is written in the definition of policy statement that the current approach of an agency is regarding the implementation of an agency order, i.e. the governor's executive order, it is crystal clear. This hybrid work policy is a policy statement. From my experience thus far with the Washington state government, the teleworking policies are in fact very guarded from being seen by the public, as indicated by my now months-old refusal of a response from the Washington State Department of Transportation for their teleworking policy. How would such a significant policy that instructs a significant amount of the employees to work from home be informal, especially when the treasurer's response was in relation to 2 of the governor's executive orders? That just doesn't seem informal at all to me. Comment below your thoughts.
That we currently don't think fits this description.
Okay. So going back to my first visit here on the 20th of November, I came in and I briefly spoke with Danny Colo, I think her name was, right?
Yes.
So when I met with her, she had stated to me, and I can play the video if you want, but I mean, likewise.
So as far as a records index, because we're not a local government, we're not required to have a records index.
I think the paraphrase will probably work.
I talked to her too.
She had said that because the state treasurer's office is not a local agency, that the treasurer can exempt itself. Now, what's confusing to me is I'm now seeing all of this information, but when I came in to inspect the public records index, effectively the implication was there is no index because we've exempted ourselves.
Yeah, I think maybe she misspoke or she didn't understand.
Okay.
So I think she was probably referring to the Public Records Act, like I think it's subsection 4. I can pull it up just so we can be sure.
4A is the one.
4A talks about local agencies,
Yeah.
and I think maybe she was thinking about that as opposed to subsection 5. And I will say that because this public records index, because our website is a work in progress, I'm not entirely sure if she was up to date on where we were with the process, because it was not published at that time. We were working on it. Yes, correct.
Yeah.
We were working on it, but it wasn't up yet.
So what I'm looking to see here is when I came in, it wasn't available. So is it fair to say that between the 20th and today is when you guys have put together this?
No, we published it.
Gotcha.
Published it. Yeah,
So,
correct.
out of curiosity then, I've got some questions. for you.
Sure, I can do my best to answer them.
You bet. Why was, and I guess I'll lay the groundwork for this, without it being published, the treasurer was out of compliance? Because the statute says it has to be published in order for it to, for people to,
fair.
actually make use of it and whatnot. So what was the reason for the state treasurer seemingly being out of compliance with the Public Records Act as it relates to Section 5, having it published and available to the public?
I do not know the answer to that one. Sorry.
It's fair to say, though, that is it your agreement with that the treasurer's office was out of compliance?
No.
It wasn't. So where would a member of the public have been able to find that at the time, like prior to the 20th of
Right.
November?
Find an actual index, like
Yeah.
a specific. I don't think they would have been able.
So a good question here for everyone watching is, how could the treasurer have been in compliance and yet not have a published index? Comment below your thoughts.
And so is it the treasurer's perspective then that he was in compliance by not having it published and available to the public?
I mean, I can't go into legal advice that we've received because then it breaks attorney-client privilege. But the answer to that would be essentially we had received prior legal guidance related to index, which is why when you came in and asked the questions, and we have a new attorney general now, we are seeking legal guidance from him. And I can't go into it any further.
And you think it'll be different than Bob?
It might be. Yeah.
So one thing that I noticed when I read the WAC for the treasurer, that seemingly makes clear the function of the records index.
Sure.
And ironically so, because I think the treasurer's office is the only one in the state at any level of government that has this clear statement, though ironically, I'm arguing seems to be out of compliance, or was at least out of compliance. In subsection D of the WAC for the treasurer,
Do you want me to?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
I've got a copy if you want.
I know which one you're talking
Okay.
about.
Yeah, it says if the matter requested is referenced with an index maintained by the records officer, a reference to the requested record as it is described is such index. So the logical flow of that is that the tool that aids in making a records request exists and is available for the public to use.
Or they're just saying if there is one and you can use it. I don't know. I don't even know if I was alive when that was written, but.
Yeah, I certainly, well, I mean, I think we both were for this because this was later on. This
Was
was
it?
after 1990.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, 1973, I agree with neither
Okay.
of us were around then.
Yeah, no, 1990, I was alive.
Yeah.
But I don't know what their intent was when they wrote it. I don't know if their intent was like, we have one, or if we're gonna have one. I'm not sure. If they did have one back then,
Yeah,
I'm not
and-
aware of it now, or if they did intend to do it, or I just,
Well,
yeah,
this is
I
why
can't
I'm
answer
curious
that.
about this, and,
Yeah.
and again, I appreciate your time. When I looked at the WAC for the treasurer in section 80 of the WAC,
Mm-hmm.
it states that in accordance with the laws of 1973, that agencies prevent unreasonable invasions of privacy, protect public records from damage or disorganization, and prevent excessive interference with essential functions of the agency. It goes on to say a request shall be made in writing to get a public record.
Sure.
And then it goes on indeed to cite what I just
Yeah.
read,
Mhm.
if the matter is requested. So the idea is that when you look at the session laws from 1990, it says, give me a moment here. It says, by July 1st, 1990, each state agency shall, by rule, establish and implement a system of indexing for the identification and location of the following records. So if they're
If
going
they
to...
meet any of those 5 subsections we talked about, right? Like declaratory orders,
Yeah.
right? Mm-hmm.
But in this case, it's talking about the availability, because obviously it shall establish and implement a system of indexing for the identification and location. And obviously, the context of the Public Records Act is that the public can gain access to records. So in that vein, why has the Washington State Treasurer gone to the extent of being the only executive to make clear that an index is not a record to be requested, but rather a tool available to aid in making a records request, yet has not produced the records index at least of the 20th of November?
I love your question, but I can't answer it because I don't know what the intent was when they wrote the rule, right? And nobody who works here currently was there then as well. So I don't know what their intent was when they wrote the rule. I can guess that, like, I know Treasurer Pelliciotti is like really into transparency, which is why he has the transparency portal, which is why when you came in and asked the question, it made us think, okay, maybe we should reevaluate and get legal guidance on what is required and see what we can do to make it easier for people to access the information. If I'm gonna guess, which I shouldn't do, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Sure.
If I would guess that previous employees here thought that our office maybe didn't have any of those 5 subsections of records. That would be my guess. I don't know if that's true or not. Again, like I said, I was not here, haven't been here that long, so I'm not entirely sure what, I can't read people's minds from prior history, but I
Sure.
would assume that was probably what was going through their minds.
Okay. So in that vein, my next question is, the state treasurer seemingly has taken no steps to update the request for public records section of the WAC since July 30th, 1974, and I'll give you a copy of the
Yeah.
WAC. So even if there's a misunderstanding or disagreement as to compliance, transparency, and publishing of the records index, how come the state treasurer's office never made an update or even acknowledged the change in the session laws from 1989 to update formally in 1990, July 1st, to comply with the law? Because at this point, basically, it seems the treasurer just hasn't been in compliance for 50 years.
When you say it that way. Again, I cannot speak for anyone who was previously here, so I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if it has anything to do with it being an elected office and there being changeover every so often. That could be part of it.
Is it fair to say then that the treasurer now is not accepting responsibility for having to be in compliance with the Public Records Act?
No, that's not fair at all.
Okay.
That's not fair to say. No, which is why, again, Mike has been working on this stuff. Sorry, Treasurer Pelliciotti is working on this stuff, and we are in the process of going to be doing a rulemaking, maybe not addressing this particular issue, but some other issues that we want to clean up. But you're really informed, so I know you know that rulemaking is very time consuming.
It is, yeah.
Right? So as it stands right now, we're working on it and we're going to be filing with the code revisor likely. Again, I don't know if it'll be specifically about what you and I are talking about, but in general, we do have plans to do updates. It's just a matter of balancing the ability to have the time to do it and the months that it's going to take to, you know, get everything in order and have the rulemaking hearing and everything that goes into doing a rulemaking. So
I see. Okay. And is it, I just want to make sure I understood because I don't want to put words in your mouth. From earlier when you were showing me, for example, final orders, declaratory orders, interpretive statements. So it is absolutely the position of the treasurer. There are no final orders, no declaratory orders, and no interpretive statements.
I wouldn't say that that is necessarily his. That's my understanding based on the definition of declaratory order, final order, and interpretive statement, correct?
So a question then. So with, for example, COVID, when Governor Inslee issued his proclamation, which included a variety of things, a long list of things.
Sure.
In fact, one of those things was directing government at all levels to implement certain protocols. So were there no declaratory orders on behalf of the treasurer for his elected office and the people that work under him to implement a certain set of practices or
Not that
methods?
I'm aware of, no.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah.
And because of that, and because of what you're saying is the interpretation of the treasurer regarding a teleworking policy, that's why a teleworking policy wouldn't be present?
Because it doesn't meet the definition of policy statement, correct?
And who came to that determination?
Me.
Okay, gotcha.
And again, prior legal counsel,
Which
which we talked about, which I said I can't get into it because
Yeah.
of attorney-client privilege, but
how long have you been with the treasurer's office?
a little over a year.
Oh, okay, fair enough. So really new. Prior to that, was your predecessor aware of any of this?
I don't know because that individual, this position was unfilled for a period of time, so I think
Do you know how long it was until?
No, I don't.
Okay.
But I do know that they left and then they did a recruitment, obviously, and you know, recruitments can take a while as well. So I don't know. I'm assuming at least a couple of months. And so I don't know. I've never met the person who was in this position before me, so I can't even like begin to give you an idea of what was in her mind because I have no clue.
And out of curiosity too, just because I don't know your pedigree, so are you an attorney?
I am.
Okay, fantastic. So it's, if I understand correctly, as an attorney, your interpretation is that teleworking policy, as well as potentially attorneys from the Attorney General's office, that doesn't meet that standard.
Correct.
So-
Because of the definition of policy statement.
Gotcha. Is there a time I might be able to get a statement from the treasurer as to some of these questions regarding why it's seemingly been out of compliance for 50 years? Because like I said, it didn't have it available.
Sure.
And obviously this is a tool, I think specifically based on the language of the treasurer in subsection D, that it is a tool meant to pre-exist the request so that the efficacy of the request
I hear what you're
is
saying.
whole.
Let me grab the I think
The treasurer?
No, well, he's not here.
Okay. I was gonna say,
I
I'm
wish,
available.
right? No. Let me grab the is Aaron's card in that little box? Could you grab me Aaron's card, please?
Well, I think that answers all my questions for today. I
Okay.
really appreciate your time. Is there anything else you wanted to tell the public?
Oh no. I wanted to say thank you for being willing to come back and have a conversation with me because I do think that we're obviously all not perfect. And if we can get better at our jobs and get better at doing what we're doing to make it easier for people to get what they want, to be more transparent, all of that, I'm all for it. I know Mike is as well. And it would be, it's always helpful to hear from people because sometimes when you're in this job and you're just so focused on your duties, you don't think about it from a different perspective. And so it's nice to hear from people who have a different perspective, like, hey, here's what would be helpful to see. All right. Have a lovely day.
Thanks, you too. Take care now.
Bye. Thank you, Devin.
Before I wrap up this report on the Washington State Treasurer's Office having been in violation of the Public Records Act for a half of a century, I want to sincerely thank Counselor Devin Phelps for sitting down with me on the record and fielding questions about access to records and transparency regarding the Treasurer's Office. Thank you very much, Devin. In stark opposition to Devin's transparency and willingness to conduct an interview, Governor Inslee's chief legal counsel, Catherine Leathers, refused an on-the-record interview after initially having offered to sit down and talk about the issue. I wonder why that on-the-record interview might have been denied, but an off-the-record one was just fine. I'll leave that up to you all to decide.
All right, everyone. Well, as you just saw there with the interview with Devin Phelps, who's the Director of Legal Affairs for the State Treasurer, I think what was really clear there is obvious that they did not have the records index available at the time. She made that clear. What Devin stated was that the index was being worked on. I'm going to do some more records requests to receive emails and other forms of communication that verify that. But with that being said, my view on this, based on the fact that the governor exempted himself, has never updated the policy, or the WAC, the administrative code. The lieutenant governor does not have an index, doesn't even reference the index in the administrative code. Leads me to believe that the treasurer has just been out of compliance for 50 years. Now, one thing that is of note, as I mentioned, is that session laws from 1973 define agency differently. They lumped a local agency and a state agency into the same category. In 1990, when the 1989 laws went into effect, they differentiated between a local and state agency. And so the key here is that at least since 1990, July 1st, the State Treasurer's Office has been out of compliance with the Public Records Act regarding the index. And the thing here is, I've had many of you asking, what's the whole point of the index? It is just what an index does. It lays out taxonomically what documents, which are required by the legislature to have available in an index, so you can quickly reference it and request those. It hastens the process by which you get your records. It lowers the burden of the public records officers, and it makes the system function better. Unfortunately, because our education system is horrible nowadays, most people don't know how to even spell index, let alone use one. So this is a calamity of errors that has come about to facilitate a overly burdened public records system, and that's where we're at now. But I am definitely exposing that the Washington state government is just horrifically out of compliance, and I think the worst offenders of it are the governor's office because of that unlawful exemption. But at the same time, when I went in on November 20th, the treasurer did not have it. The lieutenant governor does not have it, at least as of the 20th when I was in, as well as the governor, the Employment Security Department, the Washington State Department of Transportation, the Office of Women's and Minorities Business Enterprises, and more. So that's it here for the treasurer's office for today. If you like my journalism, please like, share, and subscribe. Hit that all notifications bell so you get my stories right when released. You can follow me on X at I.A.M Free Auditing, on Facebook at Inland Auditing Media. And if you want to help keep my feet on the streets, you know what to do. You can look for the links in the description for Cash App and Venmo. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the next location. Bye.